Does this work? Yes. Okay, so in the next 15 minutes of my ego trip, I will like to share some ideas about this very interesting piece of technology which I've been working on recently, and to start with my background story as well, so you can get an idea about my motivation in working on this and developing this. So I'm a sort of a multi-profile person, so I have a quite equally shared interest in both science and technology, as well as on artistic concepts or arts, sound, music in particular. So I was educated in Graz at the Institute for Electronic Music, where these two components are quite equally interwoven in the process, in the education process. So I have a kind of strong background in both. And the problem was when I was finishing with my studies and returning to Slovenia, there was no structures whatsoever where I could continue with my work. And so on one hand, there's no institutions at the university level, no research departments that would deal with sound and music computing and acoustics. And on the other hand, there is no industry, basically, which is developing technology for commercial uses. So no one is developing speakers, microphones, audio interfaces, etc. So I basically didn't have a choice. I skipped this slide, I'm sorry for that. That's the title of my talk. It's a bit confusing, but don't worry about that. I'll just continue. I found basically both structures. So on one hand, it was the Institute for Sonic Arts Research, IRSU. This happened in 2008 when I came. And just recently, also a company which is supposed to deal with the marketing of some of the technology that we develop at this institute. And the institute, the company is called Ultrasonic Audio Technologies. But IRSU, the institute, it has three major fields of working fields or fields of interest. The first, like I said, it's engineering, science, development of research and development in audio technologies. The second is, of course, encouraging the production of new work in the field of electronic music, in particular sound arts. And the third very important component is education. Of course, these contents that I brought with me from abroad are sort of developed, are present in developed countries, but unfortunately, we have lots of students and artists which are interested in, acquiring these skills which enable them to approach creating and composing in the field of electronic music and interactive arts, digital arts. So that's the idea. That's the three directions that we take in IRSU, and let's start with the artistic ones. So, okay, music composition. My interest was always to develop musical expression, to make progress, to be contemporary, to find out how we can evolve with thinking about musical composition and making progress. But one of the major deficits or problems that I found in the language of music or in the medium of music was its lack of capacity to convey meaning or to carry an idea. So an idea or a concept which would go beyond expression of very primary emotions, let's say, okay, which music perfectly is capable of. But still, how can we generate meaning and communicate through this medium if we just don't think about speech? Okay, speech is a nice exception, which is doing that perfectly. So producing meaning. But this is a very interesting discussion, but which we could develop. But I didn't find a solution for that. So or I'm always basically thinking of how to work on this. But my solution basically was just to question the values we put in aesthetics. Okay? We put in aesthetic components when producing musical compositions. And because I found we are at the point of argumenting our decisions, our compositional decisions, or our preferences in music just with aesthetic arguments like I like it or I don't like it, which we can easily do for chocolate or whatever, but still we're talking about arts and contemporary arts progress. So I was criticizing this approach of evaluating or putting value in a sequence of sonic events by saying, okay, I will now compose while being motivated by other factors, not motivated by music, but through an alternative representation of sound. So my straightforward solution to that was to put a cable in my mouth, basically, and to experience the music in a tactile way. So it's don't try it, but it's a similar sensation as if you would put a battery on your tongue. So you feel the electricity, and you can feel a nice texture of music. So I was developing all sorts of musical instruments. Here you see one where there's water involved and cables going into the water and cables going into my mouth. So I'm part of the musical instrument or its electronic network. And this approach makes me quickly reconsider my decisions based on aesthetics of sounds or like or dislike. So although I might like a sound that I'm currently producing, I can't maybe keep it if it would hurt too much. So I need to immediately take action and reorganize my output. So composing in real time according to this alternative representation of music, of the sound that you produce. In a way, if you're talking about electronic music, it's still quite authentic because it's a primary form. The music is secondary when it's being transmitted through speakers. So yeah, let's go to this more interesting part. So this has nothing to do with engineering. I mean, it's just putting cables in your mouth, but nothing to do with research. It's just a very straightforward solution. But here it's a bit more sophisticated version of my interface. It's again a musical instrument that provides you with a tactile feedback on the sound that you just produce. So there is an arrangement of 100 ultrasound transducers on this spherically shaped surface. And these transducers focus the acoustic energy into this point here, which is like just in the center of this sphere. And you can actually focus the acoustic energy to that extent that you can actually feel it here hovering in the air, as a point of high acoustic energy, a vibration without, which you can experience without any contact. So the idea was to make an instrument where the musician would be able to actually mold and shape the sound directly with his hand and change it. So change the position of your hand, change the sound, and change the tactile experience the sound would produce as it's vibrating and hovering here in the air. We are working also on a feed-forward mechanism, a camera system to transcribe the hand gestures, motion, and position of the hand with which you can then actually manipulate and change the parameters of any sound you like. Just to give you a short demo how it works. I have here a piece of paper, and so okay. There's one interesting point here, which is only here. Not if you go here, it's much less. So you're welcome to come on stage and try it after my presentation. And I mean, it's nothing really spectacular. Everyone has experienced sound, I don't know, at a musical concert or at a, rock concert or nightclub. You can always feel when the low frequencies are vibrating throughout the room and making your clothes shake, and you can feel it with the whole body. But here in this solution, it's ultrasound that I use, and ultrasound has this intrinsic property of being very focused. So it basically can can direct all the energy into one spot, which is special about it. But still, it's only sound. It's extremely high energy sound in one spot here. So there was a very nice side effect in this instrument that I found out actually after I built it, and it turned out to be a very nice speaker which would direct sound just in one direction. It's highly focused sound actually. So although it's ultrasound, you can still hear it. I'll explain it later, but maybe just to demonstrate how it's. I hope you. So in fact, this is nothing special. Actually, there's already companies developing this and selling this directional speakers. And then I basically just read up how things work, and it's very interesting. The sound, or when a sound wave is propagating through air, then the air would react in a sort of nonlinear manner with the sound wave. This basically just means that it would distort it, okay? Distort it a little bit, and then these distortions would manifest themselves in acoustic artifacts. So this happens anytime a sound is propagating through air, and these distortions are so quiet that you just don't hear them. But then if you use ultrasound, you can predict these distortions and these artifacts that will occur when the sound is propagating. So then you just go and calculate the frequency components in an inaudible spectrum, in high frequencies. So then when it will carry or propagate through air, you would just hear these distortions, which would then be audible. And then this sound would keep the same character as the ultrasound which is carrying it. So like I said at the beginning, ultrasound is very focused, so then you just use this channel on which you modulate your signal that you want to display, and it would self-demodulate. Anyway, but what's the interesting part of this, or an interesting application of this would be, I don't know, in-store advertising. So you have a shop, and you have many products in your shop, and then you're advertising basically each product, or just adding this acoustic message to it, and then making a comprehensive multimedia image of this of the products, and not interfering with neighboring products, let's say. So the potential buyer gets this message when he's standing right in front of it. And also there's museums and galleries which use it to inform visitors about each individual artwork which is hanging in the gallery without the need to use headphones when going through the gallery. So yeah, this is just first prototypes. We're developing other even more focused and more energetic speakers, and yeah, I was hoping to bring it, but it's still not working very good. Anyway, my time is running up, and I'll just make a demo here while you are away or while you have the break, and you can come and play with the sound. But it's not interactive. I didn't put a camera with it. It's just to show you the effects of tangible sound. So thank you very much.